should the Calgary Flames start a rebuild? That is what we'll be talking about today. Now, before we start, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Hockey Brigade. Now, let's talk about Calgary. So, the Flames were one of the most disappointing teams in the league last year, at least for me, as they finished 5th place in the 7-team Canadian division and had a record of 26, 27, and 3 and failed to make the playoffs. They had 4 losing streaks of 3+ games, and overall they just kind of looked unremarkable. This season, paired with their first-round loss to Dallas the season before, they really just got people talking about what is the future of this team, and should Calgary do a rebuild? Well, maybe, maybe not. And a key piece of that decision will be a league-wide name that we all know fairly well, that being Joanie Hockey, and whether or not he will be staying with the Calgary Flames. Joanie Goudreau is somebody we've been talking about for probably at least a year now about will he be in Calgary, will he not, and he is on the final year of his 6-year deal that he signed back in 2016. It was a team-friendly deal. He's probably going to be looking for more money on the next deal, and maybe that's going to be a problem for Calgary, considering they are trying to figure out what is best for them and what they should do. Keep him, not keep him, we'll have to see. They are going to have to figure that out soon, though, because we have no idea what this team will do this year because of how the past 2 seasons have gone. And even if they want to trade him, he's got a modified no-trade clause, and that's 5 teams on there that he can be traded to. That is it. There's nobody else that they can trade him to outside of that list, unless he said I allow it, and I'm not sure if he would. And you have to wonder what teams would pony up to give Calgary what they're looking for with this good young winger. Because you have to think he is good, but at the same time he is a unrestricted free agent after this season. So if they did trade him, that's going to be one thing where teams might not give up as much as they would have last year. And on the flip side of that, we could see maybe sign a long-term extension if things get worked out by the end of the season. Although it appears that Joanie will probably wait regardless of how things go. A, he's either going to go to another team, or B, just get interest from other teams and say, these teams want me for this money, you have to give me this for Calgary. So Calgary should probably just extend him, just to be smart. But we'll have to see how that goes. And what I will say is, if Goudreau gets traded or leaves, I definitely think a rebuild is a lot more likely. Now, another thing we'll have to talk about is Blake Coleman and how he could help this team, as he signed a 6-year deal, and that was after winning 2 Stanley Cups with the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it's just kind of, it threw me off when they signed him to the deal. He's 29, almost 30, and a 6-year deal it was the 6-year part was the part that really just blew me away. Coleman wasn't, one of those guys that I thought would be somebody they would go out to try to fix this team, but he had his moments in Tampa Bay. Maybe Calgary is thinking by bringing him in, they have a player that's had a ton of recent success with the Lightning, obviously winning 2 titles, and could make their forward group deeper. I still don't know how this deal will work out, but for me, it feels like Calgary is a lot more likely to re-sign Goudreau than not, just because why would you give a guy a 6-year deal that is almost 30 if you're going towards a rebuild in terms of Blake Coleman? And that is something that we'll have to watch out for. It's weird, and I don't really know what's going to happen there, but you have to think, hey, if they sign this guy, then surely they'll sign this guy. We'll have to see. And maybe it'll work out for the Sea of Red fans, though. He'll have to adjust to a new head coach, though, that being Blake Coleman, because he has a coach that in Tampa Bay is a little bit different than here, where Daryl Sutter is the man in charge. He's probably one of the most demanding coaches in the league. He is very old school, very my way or the highway. It worked out for him, obviously, in Los Angeles, where they had some good years, and he could be the man that steers Calgary away from a rebuild. The Alberta native has guided the team to a 15-15 record last year through 30 games after coming over and being the 3rd coach in the season last year for them. Things weren't perfect, but Calgary was dominant at 5-on-5, as they were 2nd best in the league for fewest shots against per 60 and had the 8th most shots for per 60 at 5-on-5 play, with Sutter being the man behind the bench. One thing I love about Sutter teams is they dominate things for like shots for percentage. Corsi, they are very much in the sense of we are going to dominate things like possession and we're going to really win off of that. Calgary could benefit from that. One thing that worries me, though, is this could go really south really quick. You go back to his time in LA. Those players are a lot different from what you see here in Calgary, at least in the top end guys. There are some players that are just not going to fit Sutter's system, where it was very much so that, that position, we're going to try to just, wear him down type thing. And he's going to have to figure out, especially with more of the skilled guys, how that works out for them. However, I will say he is one of my favorite coaches in the league. I was glad to see him come back. He had been farming. I know that was a big hobby for him after he had left LA. And he is old school. Maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't, but we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Either way, though, I think one thing for him is he's proven himself. He is somebody that's won 2 Stanley Cups already as a head coach, and he took Calgary to the Stanley Cup Finals all the way back in 2004 with his first stint with the team. Now, here's hoping to the second time being a longer stay, and I don't know. This is going to be one of those tough things. I've talked about these 3 things, Blake Coleman, Joanie Goudreau, and then Daryl Sutter. Do I think that the Flames should start a rebuild? I'm going to say no for right now, because we'll have to probably address it after the season or at the offseason. But here's my logic. They haven't been awful. They have been a team that made it to the qualifying rounds 2 years ago. They beat out Winnipeg, lost to Dallas in the first round. Then they missed out, but they were a team that it's just got a lot of potential. They play in a division that isn't exactly dominant. There's no point in tearing this down if you have a division that you might have a chance to make the playoffs in. Now, do I think that they're going to be a Stanley Cup favorite? Absolutely not. And they wouldn't even be a team that I would bet money on them going deep in the playoffs. What I will say, though, is they're a good enough team to make the playoffs and maybe do something interesting in it. You got Jacob Markstrom in it, and I don't know, they're one of the weirdest teams in the league in terms of what you expect versus what you get. But I do think we should give them one more last, hoorah, one more chance, one more kick at the can to see what happens there. Now, if things don't go well, we're going to be looking at guys like Joanie Goudreau probably being gone, Sean Monahan, and Daryl Sutter all being gone from the team, and we'll have to see how that goes. Now, do you think the Flames should head for a rebuild? Let me know down below. Also, like this video if you like this video, and subscribe as well. Everybody stay safe, have a great night, good luck, hockey, alright. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.